Welcome to the Homestretch podcast. Tonight we have another special guest, Shara Proctor, Anguillian and British long jumper. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And also Ashley. Ashley joining me again. Thank you, Ashley. Hold on. We can't go straight into her bio. I have to introduce you, Ashley.
No, you have to put respect on her name.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to go through her whole, we got to go through the whole bio, the whole resume real quick. But thank you for joining me again, Ashley. See, can't not
of course
introduce you. And so Shara she was a runner-up at the World Championship in Beijing in 2015 in the long jump, NACAC under 23 champ, CAC junior champ, and the CAC Games champion. If you're from the Caribbean, you know that the CAC Games are the real deal because that's where everybody who's anybody in the Caribbean is competing. And so if you win that, we already know what you're gonna do. Maybe the rest of the world don't, but in the Caribbean, we're like, yeah, that's the beast. That's a bomb right there. She gonna take over. So extensive resume, born in Anguilla, and then at some point relocated to the UK, and you were the first British female long jumper to clear 7 meters. So very, very impressive. Hold 2 national records, one in Anguilla and one in Great Britain. So yeah. Amazing.
You probably are the first woman to do that too. Hold 2 national records from 2 different countries.
Yeah.
If you're not, then we're gonna proclaim it. Yeah, we're gonna proclaim it. Even if it wasn't written in stone, you're the first woman to claim 2 national records from 2 different countries. Boom.
Yeah, who's done that? You might really be the first ever.
Maybe.
I wish I had like an applause.
I can say, give it to me. I'll take it.
Yeah, we can edit the applause.
I know. Yeah, that.
Yep.
Exactly. So, thank you for joining us. I know you're probably super busy, but I just, we'd love to hear your story on how you even got involved in track. Track it's a pathway. You can accomplish great things, and I'm sure it's been a vehicle in your life. And I'm just interested in hearing about, how you got started and your path, your journey.
Well, it started in primary school. I don't remember how old I was, but I just remember, I was a little tomboy, so I was just playing with the boys, running up and down and playing tag, catch, all that sort of stuff. And my teacher, one of the teachers at the school, I guess he saw some talent and he told me, come to practice. And it started from there. So I went to practice. I was doing every single event. I was doing cricket ball throw. I was doing the javelin. I was doing discus. I was doing 100, 200, long jump height, everything I was doing. And so I started traveling. I went to CUT Games. Is it the CUT Games? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the CUT Games. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We used to stay in schools on mattresses.
Yeah.
We had to show outside.
Oh, you know what? You're bringing back some traumatic memories. Hold on. I forgot all about
back some memories.
Yeah, nostalgia, right?
Yeah, you're right. When we used to travel to Puerto Rico for meets from St. Croix, you just stayed in like a gym. Yeah, yes. It was crazy.
Yes. And you had 20 people in one classroom staying together.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So yeah, I went through all of that. I did Carifta many times. I did NACAC under 23, CAC Games, Pan Am. I did all that stuff, but I started out doing mainly 100, 200, long jump, high jump, and cricket ball throw. But I was lazy and I didn't like to train for sprints. So after I realized you had to put in a lot of work to sprint, I say, all right, let me just stick to the long jump because I didn't think you would have to run and do running workouts and, weightlifting and stuff like that. So I stuck with the long jump and high jump. And for some reason, I couldn't get the concept of high jump. And I just didn't understand running fast and having to go high. As opposed to long jump, you will run fast to go far. Yeah. So that was so confusing to me. I didn't get it, so I just dropped it. And funny story, I remember going to Carifta one year. This was in Trinidad. I don't remember which year it was. But
2003? Was that 2003?
It could be. It could be.
I got a medal there, so I don't.
Look at you. Look at you.
I'm hyped.
Medal there,
I'm
so
hyped. It's like my only medal. So I'm like, was it 2003?
There's the only one he's gonna remember.
Hey man, I got a medal, and it was a medal against both. So that's my biggest claim to fame.
Hey, look at you! Congrats to you.
I got beat, but I actually thought I could win. So I thought I had a chance at the time.
You got a medal. That's all that matters.
Okay, so you were at Carifta in Trinidad?
Yeah, I was at Carifta, and I was doing the long jump and I think high jump also. And they didn't have anybody for the javelin, so I was curious. And I said, you know what? I want to do the javelin. Put me in the javelin. I went out there and embarrassed myself. So it's my turn. I'm ready. And so I threw the javelin, and it bounced off my back and went like flopping all over the place. I was so embarrassed. Never again.
That's not exactly the meet where you do that, right? Like Carifta.
Of all the places, right?
Carifta, yeah, nah. So for those who aren't Caribbean folks, Carifta, like the CACs, is a Caribbean championship, is where everybody who's under 17 and under 19 compete. So everybody who's anybody comes through the Carifta championships as well.
Yeah, you had Usain Bolt in Carifta championships. You had Karani James. You had Ashley Kelly. You had everybody. Everybody who came to the Caribbean system went to Carifta Games. Mm-hmm. So I did plenty years there, and I did long jump and high jump most years. And then I was recruited by several colleges.
Hold on. Don't fast forward. I want to go back to Anguilla, because I know how it was. I know how it was growing up on St. Croix running track, but I have no clue how it was on Anguilla. I think my coach Golfin took us to a meet there before. Did you guys have I feel like we did. Do you guys have a rubber track at the time, or was it dirt or grass?
You got the wrong place. So Anguilla has never had a rubber track. We always had a grass track, if you could call it that. So cricket is a big sport in Anguilla. Mm-hmm. So it's on a cricket field. Mm-hmm. So on the track, there's a cricket pitch in the middle of the track. So only for sports day and maybe some random track meets in the middle of the year, they will mark out lanes with paint around the track. And we have a runway, a long jump runway, but I don't think you could call it a runway no more. It's just grass with a piece of rubber, and then Hurricane Irma destroyed it. So I'm not sure what's going on right now, but
I think we came there because we had a dirt track, and we went and flew somewhere, and it was a grass track, and that was my first time running on a grass track, but it was, it was straight, it was a grass track. But people listening to this, mainly people living in the U.S. The majority of people who are listening are in America, and they have no concept of people who are training for track and field on grass tracks or gravel tracks or just whatever resources they have, they're just using and still getting to a high level.
You know what? We came from very humble beginnings, because when I came to the U.S. first, everywhere had a rubber track.
Everywhere.
Whether it's blue, maroon, black, whatever, they had a rubber track. We never had to sacrifice our bunions and our heels.
Scraping the ground.
Right. You're running a big pothole, twist your ankle.
Right. And the tall grass stinging your skin. We sacrificed. We went through a lot. And I know we didn't have any hurdles. We didn't have med balls. We had maybe one starting block, but we didn't have resources. That's not funny. We didn't have the resources.
I'm like, man, Anguilla had it rough. I mean, I was in the VI. I'm like, man, at least we had a starting block.
Right. But we didn't have that either, because when I first started track, Anguilla was actually the first regional meet. We went there for the Leeward Island Championships, and that was my first track meet off of Tatola. But they had a grass track. We had a grass track as well. And then they moved to a gravel track, which I scraped up my whole side of my leg trying to go around them narrow corners. But at that time, you don't even think about the resources that you have or the lack of resources, because you're just thinking you're out here just going out for it.
Yeah,
I think everybody in the world has it until you go to like World Juniors and it's just like, what is this stadium? What is going on here?
Yes.
Right.
And spikes. I was running, my first race was in bare feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
when you're young, you just want to run around and play with your friends and be out the house and, you know, be around people your age. You ain't thinking about what we don't have because what you have is all you know. So you never miss what you don't have. But until you go outside and you see what other people have, then you're like, why? First of all, they were big, big, huge children. And then,
thank you.
For my age, I was like, how you have muscles this big? How are you just this big as a child? Like, I didn't understand it.
World Juniors, which one did you go to? Jamaica?
No, World Juniors for me was in Beijing.
Oh, okay.
I had World Youth in Morocco, and I had 2 World Youths. Canada, Quebec.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, just everybody just seemed so big and I was so scrawny and I was just like, what am I doing? What do I need to eat? What do I need to do to get this big? And I just didn't get it. But I was so young and naive. I just didn't get the concept of track and field and the seriousness of it. Everybody seems so serious, but I was just there to have a good time. That's it.
So that's what I was going to ask you that. What was it when you were that age that kind of hooked it for you? Was it just you were having fun? You were beating all the other kids in every event you did. And, you know, you figured out, I could travel some. Because for me, it was like I can get on a plane and go to another island. That was a big deal, right?
Yeah. Like in Anguilla, we don't have fast food restaurants. We don't have those top chain restaurants like McDonald's and, you know, Pizza Hut. And we just got Subway. We don't have those things. We only see them on TV. Right. We don't have theme parks, roller coasters. We don't have movie theaters, like stuff like that you see on TV. And you're like, I want to see that. And when I went abroad, I had unlimited McDonald's. I went to the movies all the time. And as a child, that's all you want to do. You want to see new people, talk to new people, have fun, go out, and just socialize. So that's what it was about for me, just the socializing aspect. And I had a good time. That was my motivation to go on trips. That's it. Yeah. Not to jump far or run fast.
I feel like that's all track people. I feel like all track people when they were young love going in the hotels and going on trips and just hanging with all their friends in the hotel or, you know, just having fun with it.
Well, when we did get to the hotels, because remember the schools were first, that was actually very traumatizing. Sleeping on cots, thinking about that part, yes. I remember those days. But it was about the socializing and also experiencing different cultures and the McDonald's.
Yeah.
My first World Youth in Ostrava, oh my God, every time is McDonald's. Every day.
You know, I don't know about y'all. I'm from the USVI. We had McDonald's. So, you know, y'all... You know, and that's probably to our detriment. You know, there's a lot of folks in the USVI that I'm just saying.
Yeah, it must be nice to be you.
Must be nice. I'm not jealous because now at my age, I can appreciate not having that in Anguilla because, like you said, it is a detriment to the
That's
island.
what I said. We have a lot of big belly Cruisians and St. Tomians, so.
Wow. Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah, you appreciate the fresh food. And the home cooked food and everything that people don't have access to. Yeah. But as you get recruited and you were recruited by a big top school like University of Florida, what was that experience like? Did you ever think that you would be in that position to get your whole entire schooling paid for?
No, to be honest, I wasn't thinking that far ahead. And to this day, thank God for my parents for being forward thinkers because when I was high school age, I was playing football. And again, that was just about the social aspect for me. I enjoyed, because the way I grew up, it was all about family. I have a huge family. And so I always used to be around my family and my cousins and stuff like that. So being out with other people my age, other children my age, that was not a normal occurrence for me. So I was kind of sheltered if you think about it, right? Mm-hmm. So going to football practice was fun for me. I enjoyed that. Not to get a scholarship, get free education, just to have fun. That's it. But my parents, and I also played tennis for the same reason. But my parents, they were like, okay, we got to do something about this. She's talented. She has the ability to go far. What can we do with this? And at the time, I was receiving scholarship, what do you call those? Offers, scholarship offers. A lot of SEC schools, UCLA, like a lot of good schools.
Was it just for track?
Yeah, for track. Just for track.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, because you were playing soccer and a bunch of you doing other things as well, right? So I was curious if it was the other sports that you get.
Yeah, I was playing football, but our team wasn't that great to be watched by scouts and stuff. I was playing tennis, but my ranking wasn't high enough to be, again, looked at by scouts. But track and field, I was all over the world, and I was good, at that. So colleges saw that and wanted a piece of it. And my parents were like, good idea. So they sat me down, mainly my mother, because she was coaching me at the time too, stress. And so she sat me down and she was like, look, you got an opportunity here. You can go to school, you can get a free education. And I think in the back of their minds, they were thinking, I don't have to pay for school, so why not just push her over there,
Yeah.
So yeah, she just told me this is an opportunity because with football, it's a team sport. So you have to really, really, really stand out in order to get a scholarship from a college and go far. And with tennis, I mean, it's there, but it's not that great. And so I decided to stick with track and field. And to this day, thank God for that, because it took off from there. And college, I think, is a period in every athlete, even a student life, that they have growth, a lot of growth. They learn responsibility. It's a lot of like developmental traits that you can get in college that every person needs, I think. Even if you don't finish school, at least 1 year, because you're out there on your own, especially if you live at home with your parents, myself, live at home with your parents, they do everything for you. When you go to college, you got to pay your own phone bill. You got to take care of yourself. You got to do your own, wash your own clothes, like all that sort of stuff. You have to learn for yourself because you will eventually be out there on your own, having real responsibilities. So I think that 4-year gap helped me so much, and I needed it because, and that's also where I realized my potential, like my true potential, that I can go far. Because up until then, I wasn't thinking about college. I wasn't thinking about leaving Anguilla. I wasn't thinking about being a professional, nothing. I was just comfortable. So I think it was definitely the best decision. Thank God to my parents.
No, and you made a great point that I want to. Oh, sorry, Ashley.
No, go ahead.
Okay, you made a great point that I want to highlight. As a college coach, that I think a lot of times people think when they think of college, it's like, oh, it's just the sports and just the competition. But I think of it as not only that, it's the 4-year development. When you come here to the school and I'm coaching you and I recruit you, I'm saying that over these 4 years, I'm going to prepare you to go into the real world. You should have the tools necessary to take care of yourself and to, the confidence necessary to be successful in whatever you pursue. And so I agree with you. I think this 4-year window is important. It's an important developmental phase.
Mm-hmm. I think that for me, that was the most pivotal period of my life. Not even a track part, because the track wasn't that great. And academics, I mean, yes, I have a degree now, but for me, it's just developing mindsets and just learning discipline, because being a student athlete is not easy. They slave you to death. Like you train hard, and then you have to go to tutoring or class after training. And you have to maintain a certain GPA in order to get on that bus to compete. So like you have like a set regimen and like a set schedule. And when you take that out into the world, like you can excel, I think.
It's funny that you said it's a slavery. I just saw a quote about NCAA slavery, and I thought it was hilarious because you are definitely going through the ringer all the time. You're on all the time, and you also have that the pressure of like my scholarship is dependent on if I score points at conference.
Yeah.
And if I have to do 6 events for conference, I have to do the 6 events. It doesn't even matter if I'm tired or not. You have to do it. But at that time, you don't even understand how the pressure that you put on yourself to complete those tasks, like it prepares you so much for the world, because at the end of the day, you're gonna be in a position where, listen, this my paycheck depends on how I close this deal, and you already been in those positions where you had to face that pressure. So it prepares you so much for the real world. I think that's one thing that athletes don't capitalize is all the things that we learn as athletes to excel. They transfer so much to the boardroom, to corporate America, even though we've never been in a office setting.
Yeah.
But that mindset is very important. And you touched on the mindset that you had to learn and develop during college. But going to UF, what was that decision like, going to such a major SEC school like that?
It wasn't a tough decision. We narrowed it down to, actually, I was supposed to go to UCLA. And funny story about that. So I went to Commonwealth Games in 2006. And at that point, I was supposed to go to, well, after the Commonwealth Games ended, I was supposed to fly to LA and do a visit. I think Mike Powell was a coach and he was recruiting me. And I went there and I don't know what happened, but there was some miscommunication between the coach and my mother. And I just never visited the school. I ended up going to Universal Studios. And so at that track meet at Commonwealth Games, University of Florida recruited me also. And so the throws coach was out there. And so he was recruiting for the sprints coach, rest in peace, Tom Jones. And so that, sorry, pause.
That's okay.
Did I do?
Did I ruin it?
Sorry. All right.
That's normal. We have seen some Zoom bloopers that are hilarious.
I think
this is the least.
They can blur him out. They
Yeah.
can blur
It's
that out, I guess.
This is funny. This whole podcast is funny. Anyways, so what was I saying? So I was recruited by the throws coach, and it was kind of the last resort, last minute. So I ended up going to University of Florida to do a visit, and my parents fell in love with it because it was a boring visit. And they were like, because
she has no distractions here. She's gonna be on her game.
Right. Right.
Huh, that's one way to do it. That. Boring visit.
When you go to them visits and you have recruits coming into the college, it's like, get them drunk so they know they want to come here because they know they will have fun. Yeah. But that was my experience. And I ended up going to University of Florida. Like, it seemed to be a good fit at the time to my parents. And Tom Jones was really nice, really, really nice. So, yeah, I didn't make the decision. My parents made the decision.
Well, I'm sure it felt right at home, especially when it came to competition, because, I mean, you already had competed on a high level, a really high level at that point. So the SEC is where everyone was at. I'm sure mostly you had run into plenty of those folks already.
Oh, yeah. Yes, SEC. My 4 years were tough because I had to deal with Brittany Reese.
Oh yeah, you just
years.
Oh man, exactly.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
I had to deal with Blessing Okabari.
Yeah.
I had to deal with Rhonda Watkins. Oh my God, I had to deal with Arancha. It's a lot of people I had to deal with. Like, it was not easy during my time.
Hey, no, it's real. At least you were good. You were winning. I had Tyson and Wallace and Omar and all those folks at Arc. Yeah. So I was like, come on, man.
Wait, which school you went to?
South Carolina.
Oh, okay. That's a good school.
Yeah, no, we were good. We were good, but it was smoke every weekend.
Yeah.
Smoke every weekend with y'all too.
Yeah, we had a lot of big hitters. Like you had Willie Perry, you had Calvin Smith, a lot of people.
I still talk to
it was deep.
you know Siku Clark? He went to Florida.
Yeah, I know Siku.
Yeah, he's doing well down there. He's an attorney. He actually has his own like immigration law firm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's dope.
UF track along.
I'm getting kind of jealous. All these SEC schools coming in.
Yeah, I actually want to know about these people.
I know. I have to get Tiffany on because she's Big Ten. She's Big Ten. So I'm like, I can vibe with a Big Ten person.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I guess, you know. I mean,
I need some Big Ten people on.
Hey, look, I'm in the Ivy League right now. So, but I know what it is. I know which track conference is the track conference, you know. Just saying.
Okay, SEC was good, but we still in the Big Five. So we did our thing.
You went to Illinois, right? With my sister.
Yeah, okay. Illinois. Illinois was good.
Yeah, I did what I had to do, so
that's all that matters. That is all that matters.
No, but that's
talking about the mindset, because SEC is pretty much the semi-pro league, quote unquote semi-pro league. So going through from Anguilla to Commonwealth, like you've been on Commonwealth stage, youth games, but having that fire every weekend, what was your mindset? And what can you pinpoint a pivotal moment that you just like, okay, I have to take this serious?
It wasn't in college when I had that moment. College track, I didn't really take it seriously, just because the environment, I was just, I didn't take the track serious, honestly. But when I went to Berlin in 2009, I was a nobody at that point. I was a sophomore or junior in college, I can't remember. And I had just come from nationals, NCAAs. I think I got third, I don't remember. And I remember because I was representing Anguila at this time, and I just remember being at a camp in Germany and just training because I have to represent Anguila. I wasn't thinking, I will go and get a medal, or I will make the final. None of that stuff. I just went to make up the numbers for Anguila. That's it. And I remember being in the prelims, and I made the final. I was like, wait, this is easy. I could do this more. And so I went to the final because I was probably the last person to make it to the final. And I remember the final came, and I jumped a PB in like the first three jumps. I was like, wow, this is fun. I like this. I was a nobody. Like nobody expected me to even make it this far, and here I was in the final with the big dogs. And that's when I realized, all right, I can actually do this. I got sixth at that meet, sixth. So that was my pivotal moment, because if I barely train. I barely lift weights. My personal best in hand cleans probably was like maybe 50 kg. I just, it was pitiful. But
now this is important. Now this is an important point what you're saying right here, because it's like you were already good and you already had talent, and you could have just defaulted on that talent and been at the World Championships and got 20th place and been good, just went and kind of rode that. But you saw that, hey, look, I could be better, but you have to actually commit to this and decide that I'm going to be better. And so that's I love seeing that turning point, because the thing was you were already good, but you had to make this decision to get to a whole different level. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, I realized it. I realized that, okay, I can, at this point, I didn't know you can make a living out of it. I didn't know that. So that's not something I was striving for. I just wanted to win medals, you know? And I had to go back to college after that because I still had maybe 1 or 2 years left. I went back to my old lazy self in college, not training properly. But then the day I finished my last class as a senior, I packed up my apartment and I drove to Atlanta to become a professional athlete. I took it serious at that point. And I knew at that point I wanted to make a living out of it. I didn't know anything about contracts. I didn't know anything about paying coaches. I didn't know anything about none of that stuff. I just wanted to train and win medals. And like I said, I packed up my stuff, packed up my life, and went to Atlanta to train with my old coach. And it just took off from there. I got my first contract. Wasn't expecting it, but I got a contract, and I was just living my best life.
What was that process like?
Huh?
What was that process like for the athletes who are, because folks want to know how that is, the younger folks who want to pursue being pros in track. And I know things are a little different now, but what was that process like for you getting your first contract?
Well, for me, my coach got me an agent. And so the agent went to work for me. I guess she did all the negotiations, because at this time I was 21, 22 years old. I had no idea about negotiating contracts and deals and stuff. So yeah, they handle all that. Sorry?
Who would at 21? Exactly. That's why you got an agent. Smart.
Yeah, that's why you got an agent. But I had other people look over it because I think that's a lot of athletes make that mistake. They don't read over their contracts, so they don't know what's in their contract. They don't know what they're responsible for and what they have to do, what they're obligated to do. And so you have the power to negotiate these contracts.
Thank you. Say it again.
Yeah, you do have the power to negotiate, because that's what it is. It's an agreement. Both parties have to come to an agreement,
Yeah, folks get desperate. They get desperate and they don't realize you can say no to your first offer or two. Like if you're in that seat, if you're in that seat, it's because they want you. And that first offer is not the most they can do. And I think it's foolish in any negotiation to take that first offer. Yeah. I don't think it's smart.
Yeah.
But we don't learn this stuff. I know I didn't learn it. We don't learn this stuff. So I think this is the opportunity for us to teach, because I didn't learn it.
Oh, yeah.
I had to go through it. Definitely. I've been through negotiations, and I was surprised at the result of the negotiation, because I was like, someone gave me some advice and I did it, and I was like, it worked.
Yeah. But you have to have the right person in your ear telling you, because you can't have the people in your ear telling, man, you worth so much more than this. Like, you have to have someone who's grounded to tell you, okay, this is what you need to ask for, this is what you should expect, and so forth. Not nobody asking you up telling you need to get $1 million. Like, no.
And there's some skill in it. And because it's not even just sometimes about that main amount, $1 million. It's like, hey, look, you start here, and as soon as you jump this, then it could be it's a contract. Right. You can negotiate whatever it is you want. So, I think that's an important point.
Yeah, right. And also on a flip side, like, don't expect because you're good or you're okay that you will get a contract, because it's hard out here for people. Like, you cannot, you have to work for it. They have to see value in you. And so that's what some people got to realize too, because I think a lot of athletes now, especially this generation, they expect everything and expect these shoe companies to come to them on their knees. Like, it don't work like that. Like, it's a business at the end of the day.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't negotiate until you get in the seat. Like, you still you got to have the results out there. You're not the only one who's hungry. And how it is. It's easy to get complacent. And like you said, at Florida, that's what it sounded like. It sounded like it was comfortable and easy to get complacent. But there's always someone out there running on the grass track who wants, who wants your position. I was a walk-on, so I went to school looking at folks like, oh, you freshman, I'm taking your scholarship, and your scholarship. That was my mindset, and they got slower and I got faster. So, it's real, and the companies, they know that, and so it's it's not just leverage on one end. They can say, well, next year somebody's going to come out, that's just the game.
Yeah.
So you put yourself in the best position that you possibly can.
Yeah, that's true. You got to work hard. You got to work free. You got to be hungry, and eventually you're going to shine, and you're going to get that contract.
Yeah.
And sometimes you may not even get that contract, and you have to be okay with that. Yeah. Like, there are other means, there are other resources out there to support you.
Do you think do the companies, do they just look at performances, or do they look at other value that you could bring to their company? I'm just curious about that. Like, is it just about jump that, or is it like who this person is, like personality and other things you could contribute to their brand?
I think in this day and age, it's more than just performance. I think back in the day, yeah, it was a lot of performance because it wasn't social media, and nobody had to worry about your engagement, your followers and stuff like that. Now they care about that. They want to see, okay, who is bringing in revenue based on what they're wearing or who they're wearing. And that's important too, and how you look and skin color. Yes, I said the skin color, and all that matters now. And you can see it. It's very evident in the sport.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is, man. The skin color piece, you know. I don't. Do we even want to go in that direction with the convo? We can. I mean, I could speak. I'm a dark skinned brother, so I could go all day, about
that.
that.
We had Mika on that talked about her being the fastest woman in Canada, and she didn't get the sponsorship that she wanted. She didn't get the cover of the world's Canada's fastest person magazine. So it's just about, she just started as a dark skinned girl, but you a light skinned girl, so. You good?
I won't say light skin. Back up. I won't say light skin. I'm brown skin. But
I don't want to seem like a hater, and I don't want to. Does it seem like when somebody who is of a lighter complexion performs well, the media automatically anoints them as the next greatest thing in track and field, and the next new? And it's like this, like.
Yes, think about.
I know who you're gonna bring up. I know what you're gonna bring up too.
I'm not calling names. But when, for instance, a white sprinter does well, they are glorified everywhere in the media because they're white, But we have a lot of dark-skinned sprinters who don't get the love they deserve because they're dark-skinned and they won't perform well on magazines and advertisements and stuff like that. So definitely skin color plays a huge part in that, and plays a huge part in who gets a role and who gets a cover and who gets
and how much you get.
I have a question about this because it seems ridiculous to me, right? Because from my perspective, people like dark-skinned people. Like in real life, like I feel like in the media. I think
they like it because that's the right thing to say.
What's that?
So when it comes to business, I think they like it because it's the right thing to do. It's a trend right now. But as far as business, it's a trend. It's a trend. Yeah, but it's reality. But as far as business, at the end of the day, behind the scenes, they're still going to give you a different contract than somebody who is of a lighter skin complexion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's the truth. That's the yeah.
And you can be a personality. You could be this. You could be great. You could be beautiful. But the other person's going to still get a little bit of advantage over you. And that's the reality of things.
I just don't see the logic in it.
A little bit more hype.
I don't see the logic in it. I get the reality in it. I get prejudice.
You have to think of who are the ones in power making these decisions. That's the logic.
So when I take up logic, I'd be like, okay, let's talk pure dollars. Are you saying that this person is going to bring in less dollars because less people are going to be interested in seeing them on something because they're dark? Is that really the case, or is this a decision that someone's making because they're biased and they're uninformed? Like, is it really that people will not buy a product that has a dark-skinned person, or is it that's the perception? I feel like that's maybe the perception. I think you put dark-skinned people in positions and they would be extremely successful. I think we see tons of cases of dark-skinned people being successful when they're given opportunities. So it's just whoever's the people in those positions who have this crazy perception that's not based in reality, in my opinion.
But you can say that because as your perception, you would buy something like that. But I
think people I'm like, I love dark-skinned people,
Yeah.
I love dark-skinned people. I love all, but I don't. Anyway.
The cross-market. So how easy can that person assimilate into other cultures?
Yeah, I just think it's a subconscious bias now. It's been so ingrained in us for such a long time that it's a hard habit to break.
Yeah.
Well, growing up, it was not it wasn't growing up, it was an outward bias. It wasn't now it's a little more like that. Growing up, he was like, oh, you black as hell. You black, you almost purple. You black. It was like, yo.
And you know what's crazy? I know you all could agree to this. Growing up in the Caribbean, you didn't know black, like you were black because we are the majority, right?
Yeah.
Right? But as soon as you came to the US, it's all about like black and white and brown. And I'm like, why does it matter? We all people. Like, shouldn't you like, they say you shouldn't judge, but like you should judge people based off their personality and like the character and stuff like that. Not skin color. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
I know some black people they'll joke some dark skinned people too though. So
Yeah.
we do it to ourselves too. I've caught it. So, I'm lighter now because I live in upstate New York. But when I was on St. Croix, shades darker.
Yeah.
That's how it is. That's how it is. It's innocent jokes, but at the end of the day, they were funny.
Yeah. It's definitely a different experience as a Black Caribbean or Afro-Caribbean, however the term is, let's change it as PC as we can, than a Black American experience.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
no, it's a complete. I mean, it's so much of a cultural difference. I absolutely. I think in a lot of ways, although we have our own struggles, I think what a lot of Black Americans experience growing up here is it's traumatic. It doesn't lead to good outcomes from what I've seen. And I've lived in the hood here. After I got out of college, I had no money, so I lived in the hood. So I've seen it firsthand. I'm like, okay, I see. If you grow up in here, it's really hard to see anything other than this. This is what your existence is. And it's hard to break out of that. It's a cycle. And so, and then, I was living, cops would be at the corner and they just like harassing you. And so it's the daily harassment and being treated like an animal, like a subhuman, that has an impact on how successful you're going to be, how much self-esteem you have and confidence to go out in the world, that just being treated like that every day. And I think people who are not subject to that don't understand that.
Yeah.
They don't understand it. And I think that's why it's hard for them to have empathy for us. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for them to say Black Lives Matter.
Yes. Because in Caribbean, we're coming from poverty too, but we're not necessarily getting, be gunned down. And St. Croix, we're not getting gunned down by police. We're not getting gunned down in the VI by police. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Poverty is sure, but that's not happening. So.
Yeah. And it was hard for me to understand, like, at first I thought Black people were just angry because I didn't understand until I lived it and I truly understood it. And then I felt like I was part of the movement too, because even though I grew up in Anguilla, I am also Black. And so white people will see me the same as if I am a Black American. And so I've lived the experience and now I understand some white people because they haven't lived it and they don't understand. And it's hard for some people to have empathy for something they don't understand and they haven't experienced. No, that's just I think it's emotional intelligence to see, okay, you see that person over there suffering, you see that person treating this person a certain way, and it's not just once, it's all the time. It's a trend. So how can you not say, oh, that is wrong? I feel bad for those people. Let me be an ally. Now that part I don't understand. It's common sense. You shouldn't treat people this way because they're a certain way.
Yeah. Because that aspect comes down to characteristics. It's not about how you live or anything. It's about what's right or wrong and how you learn to treat people as a person and not as just what the color of their skin is. So that comes down to characteristics. If you can't understand that how someone talks to you disrespectfully is wrong, then that comes down to your characteristics and not just how you're experience to the Black movement or the Black experience.
Yeah. And it's just, it's a generational curse because you're teaching your kids to hate people for the color of their skin when that's not right. It's just not right.
I think teaching hate in general is poison. It's poison for your body, poison for your soul, and all that hate and anger. It has to come from somewhere else. All of that, I can't imagine it because it's not genuine. So it must be something going on internally. I think we need some healing. We're consuming too much negativity out here in the world. Social media.
Yes, I
think that we're not built to take on the negativity of the world, yet we have access to it every day. I can look at 1,000 murders, right now, and just all day. And that's, you think you're not sleeping with that running through your mind? You think it's not going to have an effect on you? Well, I think as athletes, you understand that your mentality affects your performance. So if your mentality affects your performance, what else does your mental state affect in your life? Everything. So I do think that it just seems like there's just too much of this negativity. And I'm not a huge fan of social media. I'm trying to put some more positivity out there through it. And I feel like you have to be on it these days, but I'm not a huge fan of the negative aspect of it.
Yeah, if you have a business, you have to have social media. It's no way around it, especially this day and age.
It's just so toxic, like people vent, people say things that you shouldn't say, and they just say it, and it's hateful a lot of times. They're like, what's going on that you would just say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the social media can be toxic, but let's keep it on a little bit more of a lighter note. And one thing,
it got real. Y'all went to the colorism. I was like,
look, got a little bit deep. But as I continue to talk about like the Black experience, one thing, even though that she transferred allegiances from Anguilla to UK, one thing that she uses her platform is to continue to give back to the people in Anguilla. So before we get into your philanthropy and just the things that you still do and connect yourself to Anguilla as a UK athlete, what was that change like? And how long after? Because was your first contract under Adidas as a Anguilla athlete, or did you already transfer allegiances?
I had already transferred allegiances.
So switching allegiances, what was that like? And what was the process like? And what influenced your decision? What influenced your decision?
Anguilla is a British territory, and Anguilla does not have an Olympic committee. So obviously, every athlete's dream is to be an Olympic athlete. I'll go to the Olympics, right? And so if I wanted to go to the Olympics, it would not be possible if I was competing for Anguilla. So the next best thing was Great Britain because, one, I had already had a British passport. Anguilla was a British territory. So it would have been an easy transition in terms of citizenship and stuff like that. Now, competing for Great Britain is a whole different experience because it's not just one person or two people on a team. It's a million.
One of the strongest teams in the world. I mean, it's one of the most difficult teams to be a part of. Absolutely.
Definitely. And it's not easy to make the team. So that was definitely a different experience for me. I had to compete with different people just to make the team when I was so used to just clicking my fingers and being on an Anguillan team. And so that was something that I had to get used to. And that was a difficult transition for me. And then you had to deal with the media. Oh my God, the media.
Were they welcoming, or was it like, who is this person coming, joining the British team?
Not at all. And at the time, there were a few of us joining the team from other countries.
They didn't like it.
So it was me from Anguilla, which is a British territory. And then you had a couple other athletes who were born in America. And so they clapped. Oh, and I think there was another athlete, but I don't remember. And they all named us the Plastic Brits. So that was Plastic Brits. As in fake Brits.
But you were from a British territory. That's pretty disrespectful.
They didn't do their research. It was just something to talk about. And so I just ignored it because at the end of the day, I just here to do a job. I just here to jump far, win medals, and that's it, right? And so, I mean, it wasn't that difficult in terms of being around different athletes and being around a team because I actually craved it. I was always jealous of other countries when I went to championships for Anguilla because I was just the only athlete, one of two. When other countries, they had this big family type unit, you know? And so I was like, I want to be part of that. And then there was, and they welcomed me. They were very welcoming to me. They were nice to me. They accepted me. And I felt very comfortable there. It's just the media that made it difficult because every day was a new article. Oh, the plastic Brit. Oh, where was she born? Oh, she has an American accent. Oh, she doesn't sound like she should. It was just a bunch of ignorance that could have been distracting. But for the most part, for the most part, it was an easy transition for me.
Yeah, and I couldn't imagine that being good mentally either.
Well, the people were welcoming, so that's. I mean, the people.
Yeah, the people I knew.
Don't pay attention to the media.
Around me. Yeah, the people around me were welcoming. So and the staff was very helpful in making that transition easy for me also. So I didn't have anything to complain about in terms of that and competing because as soon as I got there, I joined a club and I was able to train at a facility. I didn't have to pay. I didn't have to worry about anything. They housed me, like everything was taken care of. They treated me very well. And so the media was all the only negative aspect of that whole transition. And that part, that I could say I was not used to.
Yeah.
I was not accustomed to that.
Yeah, not used to that type of media scrutiny. Did they chill out once you became the best ever?
Yeah, they did. And
they're like, oh, maybe we got this wrong. Silver medal, national record, first person over 7 meters. Welcome.
And I actually never thought about that. But the 7 meters didn't come yet, but I was consistently jumping good distances. And I had broken the record. And I was making teams and they got to know my real story, that I was actually a British citizen and I had no choice but to join a team if I wanted to be an Olympic athlete. Like, my story was different to others, not even diminishing other athletes' stories, but my story was completely different. And so...
Wouldn't it have made a better story if when you guys were coming, they interviewed you all, found out the real story, and then put that positive story out? I'm supposed to believe that people only like negativity, but I think that would have been a good story.
That's not how the media works. They thrive off negativity and clickbait.
I'm naive and hopelessly optimistic, I guess.
Yeah, they need the content.
Yeah. It was just all about, let's get the story out. This is juicy content. Let's get it out. People want to read it. And I mean, the people of England, they were supportive of me. Mm-hmm. Of course, you have the trolls who would be on your Twitter feed talking nonsense. And
go back to the islands.
With no profile picture. It's just like a dog or something. Like, it's just a very few. I can honestly say throughout my whole experience being on a team, representing Great Britain, I have never experienced much negativity from the people. Never. Like, it's only like 1 or 2 people. But for the most part, I've had great support. And I am thankful for that because I've seen some people get some hate and I don't know how they're still doing it. I don't know because I couldn't handle it. I'll be cussing everybody left, right, and center. God give you what you can handle.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that as you started to get better and better and competing at a higher level, especially since you made that decision to go pro and make this a professional career, did you ever start putting pressure on yourself?
I did. I did. I did. 1 second, let me get a new charger. My phone died. I'm so sorry.
It's your turn. Your turn. I did it already.
That's Jeopardy, right?
Oh, yeah. There we go. We can rock out with it.
Yeah.
Get it.
Hey. Put the little bouncy ball.
This gonna be out. Hey, I'm gonna make, because these are good blooper things.
It is.
Or just be on the real thing. I don't care. Hey, audience, this is us. It is what it is. We're people.
Now everybody knows when your charge is about to die.
Yeah, real talk.
Okay, so yes, I did put pressure on myself, a lot of pressure, unnecessary pressure, because when I joined the team, there's this thing called funding, athlete funding, APA funding, and it's basically based off your performance, and you have to maintain a certain level of performance in order to be unfunded. And I've never had to do something like that before. So I was like, all right, Shara, you got to do this, you got to do this. And championships, I started even questioning myself sometimes, and like my confidence dropped so much, because every time I get to a championship, it's like I will make the final easy. And then when it comes to the final, I cannot perform. It was just like, I was so mind blown, like, what's wrong with me? I was fine until this point. So then I saw a therapist. I started seeing a therapist, and like that helps so much with releasing the pressure and putting your focus on other things, because at the end of the day, with or without funding, you will be in a sport and you will be performing well. So just take the funding part out of your mind and just have fun with the sport again. Like, it got to a point where I just didn't want to do this. Like, I didn't know what was wrong with me. Mm-hmm. And so therapy was a big thing for me. It helped me a lot.
Yeah, we had the same talk with Natasha Asins recently, and she was talking about how she would approach her races and just have so much negativity, like, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this, I'm gonna die. And it's like she went to a therapist and helped kind of unpack that and realize what she was doing. Sounds like, in sports, sports psych, a therapist is major and should be part of your team. Just like a chiropractor or a massage therapist and the trainer, sports psych or some kind of therapist who you can talk to and work out these issues. That's an important part of your team.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I definitely agree. And you look at all these athletes and they maintain such a high level of performance all the time. And you think, oh, they're fine. Like, nothing wrong with them. But deep down, something is wrong. They have like a dark part in their soul where they need help with. And a lot of the times that can be like that one thing that can help them elevate to the next level. And you never know. And like, that was therapy for me. That's what therapy did for me. Like, it's so much, this sport is a lot more mental than physical to me, because the physical comes easy. Mm-hmm. The mental is what puts you down to me. Like, it can change your mindset. It could change how you feel today. Like, I will wake up this morning, my body be fine, but I will tell myself I'm tired and then I will be tired. And so like, it's just a powerful thing. You just have to learn to use it and how to use it to win and be good.
I always say this to my athletes. I say, if you're a boxer and you walked into a ring and said, man, I'm about to get knocked out. Well, guess what?
You can get knocked out.
Oh, and it's going to be very quickly. KO. Now, it's not to say you weren't going to get knocked out anyway, but if you're thinking more positively and you actually try to win, it might last a couple rounds, or maybe you get a lucky punch. Whatever the case may be, you have a much better chance than if you're like, I'm about to get knocked out, because that's going down for sure.
For sure. Like the mental part, like I always tell people, like, get a therapist, because sometimes you may think you're okay, but you're just functioning on like mediocrity all the time. And like, when you go to a therapist, you will find like a good therapist would find issues with you. And like, once you start unpacking, it's like, I didn't know this happened to me. I didn't know that's what you call this. Like, a lot of people don't have the verbiage to describe and explain what's going on with them. And so therapy does a lot, like so helpful.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we're walking around with some trauma.
And going into those more successful years, like you got to the championships, what was it about your mindset that you changed specifically, if you wish to share?
For me, it was more of like not just waiting till I get to the championship to perform and do the right thing. It was about mimicking a championship every single day at practice. So like every little thing you do it to the best of your ability, so that when you get to the championship, it becomes easy and like second nature. So like, let's say you're doing an A skip in practice, like make sure you get that A skip right. And sometimes you just got to do it till you get it right. Or even, I don't know, a hang clean or something. Like, just make sure, put your all into that hang clean, just so that when you get on that runway, you are able to like explode and do everything you're supposed, and just execute. Like execution becomes natural to you. Yeah. That was one thing that helped me a lot.
Yeah, so you don't show up on championship day and like everything around you is new. Like, no, I've been here before.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, that's gonna make me throw me off my game, because I do this every year. I'm every day, so I'm ready for this.
Exactly, and you can get easily distracted out there at them championships. Like you walk out in that stadium and it's like, oh my God, it's all these people.
Yeah,
and that could easily throw you off your game. You can just everything you learn just gone out the window, just that easy. But like if you learn to focus and just feed your distractions in practice, like it will become easy at the championship.
Yeah. And going through your first silver medal, what was that experience like? Because you made teams before, you made finals, but that particular time that was different. And as a person that's seen you go through Carifta days, etc., that Shara, like she was focused. It was a different look in your eye that year. So it was just like anyone who's seen her, just like, this girl's about to medal, she's about to do something. Because you can see it in her eyes that she was about to do something. So what was it about that championship going into it that you were just like, yeah, I'm about to drop some fire?
It's a lot of things, to be honest. I was just sick and tired of getting to finals and not performing. That one. And two, like the year before at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, I was supposed to medal, but in the final, I ruptured my rectum tendon and had surgery. It was just a difficult year for me. And like, I was depressed. I was done. I thought, like, doctor told me, like, they don't know if I'll be able to be back performing at that level. And like that right there, it like turned on a monster inside of me. Like, that's when I realized, okay, now you got to prove a point, not just to yourself, but to other people and to these naysayers. Because at that point, I just felt like defeated, and I felt nobody had no confidence in me. Nobody believed in me no more. And so I made it a point to get myself back to the point where I was before and better. And so I just trained hard. I did rehab. Like, I was in a competition every day, and blood, sweat, and tears. When I tell you blood, sweat, and tears. And nobody really know about that because I never really, I'm not like Adrian, I'm not a social media person like that. So I don't put out everything. And so I just kept it to myself. And so that year I came up with a vengeance. Like, everybody was on my hit list. And so I made it a point to medal. And I manifested too. I said, you are going to medal at this championships.
Yes.
I almost had, like, in every single interview, I said, I'm leaving with a medal. And like, I said it and I meant it. Because sometimes in the past, I would say things and didn't mean it. And that's important too. But this time I meant it. Like, I felt a fire inside of me. And like, I was so close to the gold medal. But when she passed me and got the gold medal, I was just like, at that point, that I feel like I won a gold medal because I did everything I had to do. And yeah,
that part was out of your control. But now, after you saying like Glasgow, I think that's why I was like, so I don't want to say quote unquote invested, but I was watching you that season for a reason. Because I remember in Glasgow, like your first couple jumps, you had like to pull out.
Yeah.
So it was like seeing her come back. It was just like, yo, she's about to do something crazy.
Yeah.
So that's just coming over that injury because you didn't know what it could have led to, and then being able to bounce back like that. I think that's a mark of a true champion, and that's something people really have to understand. Like, you could have been down and out. People were telling you you're not going to be able to do this anymore, and you just like, nah. It's about to be a murder scene out here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I didn't want to leave Beijing without a medal. I couldn't. I just couldn't. Like, I put in too much work. You know, when you work so hard and you tell yourself...
Tell me. Yes, I know.
Yeah, you work so hard. You tell yourself, man, you ain't leaving here without a medal. You ain't leaving here without being rewarded for this work. Like, you put in too much work. Even if it's not a medal for you, like, whatever goal you set out to accomplish, you have to accomplish that goal. If it's the PB, if it's making a final, whatever, like, do not leave without accomplishing that goal.
You just hitting the gems that I like to hear. Is just, you hear this, people, you're getting it again. And this is not just track. So take it to your life, take it to your world, take it to your career, take it to your goal. Decide. Make the decision. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. Nothing's going to stop me. And then all the little choices every day, everything you do, how you sleep, how you eat, how you drink, everything, what you're reading, what you're consuming has to revolve around that decision. If you do that, then you have a shot. That's what
it's the knowing that you will do it, because she manifested that this is going to happen, and she did it. It's not when you're just telling yourself that you have to do it. Is believing that I'm about to do it.
And doing the things. You couldn't just say that, like, I'm getting a medal, and then the next day you wake up 10 o'clock, you know, you eat some Doritos, you're watching cartoons, you're not, you know what I'm saying? You're not living the life. I don't feel like lifting today. I'm gonna go, do this instead. I'm gonna go to the beach. I ain't gonna lift. I'm sure you was going hard, especially coming off of an injury where you could not train and compete. Oh, I'm sure you was going hard. 8 a.m., multiple sessions a day. I'm sure you were going in.
Oh my God, everything. Like, I had to learn how to walk again. So that alone, I was just like, no. I refuse to be stuck in this place. And like, it's learned. It's actually learned, because I wasn't always like this. I didn't always have this type of fire in me to perform and to win medals and stuff like that. It's learned. Like, when you around people who just win medals in their sleep, it's like it will wake up a sleeping beast inside of you. And it has a lot to do with your atmosphere and just like you said, what you're consuming. Because if you're consuming garbage every day, like, you will want to put out garbage. You won't have that type of mental capacity to want for much,
Absolutely. No,
but
you hit us with the gems. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Shara's story is not over, because that was 2015 when she won that medal. We're in 2021, and it's not like it was all peaches and cream after that either. So going back to where it was just like you got another injury and it kind of like slowed down your momentum again. Was it different going through this the second time than the first time before in Glasgow? And what was your mindset as you changed this time around?
I don't understand. Sorry.
So like after 2015, it's not, it was just medals after medals after medals after medals after that.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of like slowed down a little bit, where it wasn't performing at your top. But was it the same mindset this time, or just because you already been here, just coming back to your top shape? Was it different?
I don't think I was as motivated. Looking back at it, I don't think I was as motivated because I just I was on a high. I was on a high. And I wasn't used to being on such a high all the time. So I was kind of riding that wave. I mean, I was putting in the work, but mentally I wasn't there. And I started getting like little nickels here and there. And I had a car crash in 2017, which just put me back a lot because I had tore my PCL and it was just a mess. And so that was also another thing for me to be motivated to come back. And then 2018, I hit a high again. And so like, it's just a lot. It's like a wave. It's like riding a wave for me. Like emotionally, it's exhausting. It's very exhausting because you want to perform well. And then when you don't perform well, you're really down. You want to leave the sport. You have temper tantrums. Yeah. But then something clicks and you find motivation again to come back. And then you come back and it's like, I'm back. Now, what do I do? Like, like I just always, me personally, I always found it hard to just be consistently at the top. It was always like up and down, up and down, up and down. And like, yeah, I've had to find a way to stay up, So yeah.
You think you're going back up this year? What's training looking like, and what's your outlook for this season?
Yeah, I'm up this year. It's just weird because the meets are so sporadic and not consistent at all. And so I'm actually opening up tomorrow. Tomorrow will be my first meet. And so I'm very, very excited, very, very excited because it has been a long time since I competed. So I'm just excited to see what will come of it. I'm very confident. I've been training well and my coach is happy. So I just have to just compete more often and get some consistency and get comfortable again. And yeah.
Yeah. I saw you in Gainesville doing your short approach, and I was just like, oh, okay, she putting up some numbers from
popping.
Yeah. So you were there? Yeah, I was in the stands that day, and then it started to rain, and then I didn't see you after that because I left. So I didn't or anything. But I did see you perform though.
Yeah, I was out there swimming.
Yeah.
I say regardless, I gotta jump today because I don't know when is the next opportunity to jump. So yeah, I just went. It was just to get my feet wet. And then I got my feet wet.
Literally.
But yeah, that was just to dust off the cobwebs, a little short approach jump, And it was fun. I enjoyed it. And so tomorrow's the real thing.
And that's in Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So that's exciting. Before we go though, I want to just talk about your philanthropy because I think it's important that even as a big star in UK and everything, you still take the time to make sure that you connect to your roots and people back in Anguilla. So talk about some of the things that you've done there and what you hope to continue to accomplish in Anguilla.
To be honest, I don't remember what I did.
I mean, nothing super specific, but you go back and make sure that you do talk to the people at the track. Your face. It's not like you just out of sight, out of mind. You go back home, you make sure that you connect with the community, etc. So it's nothing like specific, like you have a foundation or anything. But it's still important to still go back and connect to your roots and don't, just be out of sight like you big time now.
So I do have a foundation, a Shara Proctor foundation. And what the foundation does right now in this moment, because I'm not home, so it's hard for me to be hands-on. We have a sports day, a high school sports day. So what I do is I give out they are given the huge big checks with some money. And I think that was a good idea because when I was younger, I would see people on TV holding up these big checks, and that was a huge motivation for me. So I say, all right, let me pay that forward and they can have that experience also. So the most valuable female athlete and the most valuable male athlete receive a big check. each,
Nice.
and it goes towards academics, sports, whatever they need to help in their developmental stage, right? Another thing I do, I just always give like shoes and clothes, because when as a sponsored athlete you have way too much. And I am a minimalist. And so I just give away a bunch of that stuff that I don't need. I just send them home. Because I mean, not every athlete, all parents can afford to give their athletes, shoes, and these things are expensive. So I say, you know what, let me just give this stuff away. It's no cost to me. And what I did one time was, even though I'm now sponsored, I was sponsored at the time by Adidas. And so Adidas was nice enough to send a bunch of Adidas stuff to my primary school as uniforms for sports day. And sometimes the national team do wear them on national trips. So that's what they did. They helped me with that. I go to talk to the high school, primary schools. I do speeches, and sometimes I just randomly give away vouchers to the best athletes on, like just stuff like that. I enjoy doing it because I didn't have anybody to do it for me, and it's exciting when you see successful athlete from your island and such a small island, who their parents, them, and you see them and they coming to you and giving you a present on a reward for competing well or doing well in class and stuff. Like that stuff would have inspired me. So now I just want to pay it forward because I am successful in what I do. I just want to pay it forward and give these kids an opportunity to have that motivation to do more with their life, even if it's not track and field or sports, like whatever they want to do in life. So that's just what I like to do. I like making people happy.
It's hugely important. What you're doing is hugely important. I think sometimes, with just the grand scale of the world, we forget how big a deal the little things are. Just one conversation with you and a little boy, a little girl, in Anguilla who hasn't left the island and, maybe don't see, like they don't even see that as being in their world, and they look at you and it's like, wow, I can be fast. I can jump far. I can travel. I can do these things. I know that's how it was for me. Most of the people we talked to saw somebody and was like, I can do that. I can be that. And so every time you're doing these things and you're showing your face and you're engaging with the community and these kids, you're inspiring somebody to accomplish something that maybe they would not have had you not shown them something different.
Yeah.
So it's special.
Yeah, it's definitely important because now they experience this and they can go on to do it to someone when they become successful in whatever field it is.
And that's how we build a community or strengthen the community.
That's how we build a community, yes.
Yeah. We can't do it on our own. It's the youth. We got to teach them and show them that there's more beyond. There's bigger things that they can accomplish. There's greater things that really, whatever they put their mind to and they decide. I know it always sounds cliche, and I'm not saying you can, fly magically, but there really are a lot of things you can accomplish if you put your mind to, real practical things, if you really try and get through the hard stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. And I would like to do a lot more once I retire. But as of right now, it's just really difficult.
You can only do so much when you're training for the Olympics. So you kind of got to spread your time out a little bit. It's the Olympics. And I guess it's a point.
It's just the Olympics.
I guess it's, crazy. Yeah. Well, no, definitely appreciate you coming on and talking with us, telling your story.
I have one last question.
For sure.
I look like I can talk all night.
I know. I was like, oh man, we gonna, people be like, oh, it's 2 hours long. I'm like, well, it is what it is.
I mean, what can I say? But what was the one thing that you learned during COVID about yourself?
Ooh, one thing I learned about COVID.
One thing you learned about yourself during COVID, because we still learning about COVID. We didn't even talk about
Lord.
Um, I learned that I had anxiety. Like, this is not funny. This is not funny at all. But that's like something I learned about myself. Yeah, I learned that I had anxiety because once COVID hit, we had zero control over anything, nothing. Like, COVID was in control. You couldn't just get up and go to the supermarket. You couldn't just get up and train. Like, you can't go to the club. You can't go to the bar. You can't just swipe left and meet whoever you swipe left on. Like, you can't you can't do, like, your freedom is very minimal. And so, and then the fact that Olympics was postponed, like, that alone caused severe anxiety, because at that point, like, I wanted to retire because I didn't know if I could continue. No Olympics, what's next, you know? And so during that time, I really, 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 like, spoke heavily to my therapist and other people about what I was experiencing, because I was having anxiety attacks, like, and I didn't know what it was. And I had the language to process it, but I didn't know how to fix it. And since COVID wasn't going anywhere, my anxiety wouldn't go anywhere if I didn't take the extra effort to help it or to solve that problem. And so I just had to, I don't know if this is healthy, but I just distract myself. I did a course. I got a second job. Like, I did everything so that I didn't have to sit there and think about what I couldn't do. And so that my mind couldn't spiral out of control. But now it's back to normal. It's not back to normal, but, you know, it's Florida, so.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in Florida.
Yeah.
Man, talking about can't go to the store. Come on, I'm in New York.
When you have asthma, I have asthma, severe asthma.
Oh yeah, you couldn't go anywhere. Yeah.
I had to be careful, very careful. Still, I'm careful. That's why I took the vaccine. But yeah, now that it's kind of back to normal, I am in a much better mental space. No second job, no course. Like, I can focus on track and field. I can focus on performing and training now. Like, I don't need to stop my distraction. I don't need to distract myself and stuff like that. So yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah. COVID took a toll on a lot of folks mentally. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing and being so vulnerable about that, and just talking about the importance of therapy.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
A lot of people think it's so taboo, but it's very important and so helpful.
You know, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing it, because I know people listening can relate. Absolutely. Yeah. Having gone through the pandemic, folks are definitely under mental distress. So hearing that even someone who's, you know, an Olympian, someone, you know, who competes and deals with pressure at a high level is still vulnerable and susceptible to what this pandemic has caused. And so it's okay if you're feeling bad. You're not alone, and, you know, therapy helps.
Yeah, I used to think it was taboo. I mean, growing up in the Caribbean, you don't.
Oh, it was.
It's kind of like going to therapy is like people in your business. Like,
yeah.
You don't want that. Ain't nobody in your business.
My son, we ain't going. You crazy, the man? We ain't going no therapy, the man. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But be like, yo, go church. Finish talking.
yeah. Pray and go church, this bottle gonna be my therapy, like stuff like that. Like, yeah. That's all they know until my friend introduced it to me, and she encouraged me to do it. And once I started doing it, it was just like, everybody should do it. Everybody.
Yeah.
We all got our demons. We all got our trauma. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. If you could leave one last motivational tip for the folks listening, you know, who out here, this has been, folks are hustling this year. After the pandemic, folks are like, okay, I see. I gotta start my business, my side hustle. And, I wanna go ahead and make my money, whether it's Bitcoin or whatever. I gotta do something. Well, what pointer do you have for those folks who are out there trying to go after their dreams and their goals?
You put me on the spot, boy.
Yeah.
I would say always have a plan B, because as COVID taught us, plan A can fall apart within minutes. Mm-hmm. So always have a backup plan. And whenever you're experiencing, failure, don't think of it as the end all be all, because we all need failure in order to realize how to handle success. And so if you fail, because we all fail and we all will fail 1, 2, 3 times. When you do fail, just use that failure as fire and let that fuel whatever you do going forward. Because when you experience that success, it's going to be like, oh my God, like, if I didn't experience that failure, like, I wouldn't even be here today. Like, so that's what I always tell myself. And that's why I always use my failure and I always use my downfalls to help me elevate, to get to success. It helps me every single time. So I feel like that's a gem that everybody could use going forward.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. That was a gem. Well, thank you very much for joining us. That's it for me, Ashley. I don't know if you have any other questions, but I think we probably should let you go.
Ashley always got a question.
Okay, I could go all night. However, I ain't gonna take up more of Shara's time. You already blessed us with enough time now, and I thank you for this opportunity.
And you're competing tomorrow. Go to sleep.
So, we'll be following for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we wish you all the best, for real. You deserve all God's greatness that's coming to you this year, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.